Your goal is to find the business owners. Now, there is value in LinkedIn. It is a valuable platform for putting content on. Now, the reason LinkedIn is valuable for content is that you want to have some authority out there. It's one of the reasons why I do it, not necessarily for direct business development. Some of it's for partner relationships, and some of it is just to put content out there and have an authority piece. Keep in mind, one thing that's going to happen for most of the people you're going to do business with. Now, maybe not the 85-year-old business owner that's just been running their business for a long time, but for most everyone else, from the time they hear about you to when they meet with you, or shortly after meeting with you, before wanting to move forward with you, they're going to look you up online. They're going to do some research. Old school people, they would look in the paper, maybe they would call some people, they would check the Better Business Bureau. Now they can just Google you and find out what they need to know to see if they should trust you as their trusted advisor in moving forward. Now, the challenge is, if you're not putting out content out there, what they're going to find is going to be limited. Maybe that one blog you did last year, that webinar you posted in the past, the 2 or 3 LinkedIn articles you did when you had that spasm of posting LinkedIn articles. But fundamentally, there's not going to be a lot of content, which is why you need to control the narrative and the volume of what's out there on your behalf. So it's very important that you focus on consistent quality postings on LinkedIn, because it will set that tone and it will have the authority so that when someone Googles you, what do they find? Now, if you want to know what people will find about you, always just stop, take a moment every once in a while, maybe once a month, and Google yourself. I have the fun and interesting distinction. I'm the #1 ranked Jason Cutter on Google, which you might sound, okay, that's not that big of a deal. That's kind of a funny stat. At one point, I wasn't. Years ago, I was not. In 2019, I remember I launched my podcast. I hadn't published my first book. I was entering into consulting at the time, and I had a guest on my podcast, Rob Howe. Still remember it to this day. We got to the end of the podcast recording, session. I said, "Hey, Rob, how can people find out more information about you, and how can they reach out to you?" He said, "I'm the #1 ranked Rob Howze on Google. Just Google me, you'll find me." Right, and his last name Howze, and so it's a unique spelling, but he was the #1 ranked Rob Howze on Google. So after we got done recording, I was like, that's an amazing call to action. I'm going to check that out. While I, had him on the shared screen, I Googled myself, and I was like the 5th ranked Jason Cutter. There's a guy that's a professor. There's an aviation Jason Cutter out there, some other random posts, and I was not even in like the top 5, maybe top 3. And since then, I've done a lot of content. I've published several books. I've done a whole lot of podcast episodes as a host, as a co-host, as a guest. And I am securely the #1 ranked Jason Cutter on Google. Sometimes, depending on what you're searching, I dominate the first 5 to 6 pages, right? Some other Jason Cutter might show up. But the point is that you need to make sure that you're ranked high for your name, no matter how unique it is, or, general your name is. If it's John Smith, that's going to be tough. I've worked with some people in the past where they share a name with athlete, professional athlete, and that one's going to be a tough one. But you want to make sure that if somebody Googles you, they're going to find out that you know your stuff. When you Google me, you will find out that I know my stuff. It's very clear and obvious that I know sales, I know marketing, I know content, I know podcasts, I know all kinds of stuff, and that it's there. Right? You just know. And then the question then becomes is, how can I help you specifically? Not, do I know how to help you? It's, how can I help you? And that's what I want for you. That's why LinkedIn is important. That's why all of these content strategies are important, because the key is that you've got to be able to show people, without directly saying it yourself, that you know what you're doing.